Hello everyone, Time here, and I'd like to welcome you to Bug Abuse 101. So if you're here, that's because you either want to become a bug abuser, or you are a bug abuser, and you just want to learn a little more about the foundation. And we're going to cover that today. We're going to start at the very foundation, which is the 317 protocol. As you can see, I have stream.java open here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So first thing, I'd like to apologize for the static in the background. That's the fans on my computer. There's nothing I can really do about it, so enjoy. So we're going to start with create frame, and basically what create frame does is it assigns the packet opcode, and then it puts it onto the buffer. And as you can see, it encrypts the opcode. Now this is just to make it so tools like WE Pro are a little more difficult to use. Tools like RuneAgent are already going to factor in the encryption, so it's not going to make a difference. Same thing with reflection, because it's just calling the create frame function remotely. But yeah, create frame just assigns the packet opcode. So if you're going to walk somewhere, you have to tell the server, hey, I'm walking. And you would use a create frame packet to say, the rest of the values I'm going to send are related to walking. So pretty simple. Moving on, we have write word, and write word is used for short values. A short value is smaller than an integer. It is used typically when it needs to send a small number rather than a large number, which would make sense. And what it does within the write word function, the first thing you'll notice is I arrow 8. And in Java, these two arrows are what's called a bit shift, which just means it's doing binary level manipulations on something. So basically what it's doing there is what's called a little Endian translation. And I'm going to show you real quick. If you have this as your as your number in hexadecimal, the little Endian version would be this. And basically all it's doing, you can see it's 0, 0. I'll add spaces to make it a little easier to see. Yeah, so this is the normal or big Endian version, and this is the little Endian version. So all little Endian does is it takes the last byte, puts it first, takes the second to last byte, puts it next, etc., etc. So pretty simple. It's basically just done to make it a little harder to reverse engineer, and as you can see by the fact this course exists, it worked wonders. So yeah, that's write word, and as you can see there's also write word big Endian, which leaves out this little Endian translation here. Alright, so let's go down to write dword, and basically write dword is the same thing, but it's for integer values. So it's going to take it, it's going to do a little Endian translation on the integer value, and put it on the buffer. So as you can also see, there's a big Endian version of it up here. They look a little more complicated, but you don't really need to understand why they're working. You just need to understand what it is they do. So yeah, we're going to move on from here to write qword, and as you can see, it's a lot bigger, but write qword is used for long values, and a long value is bigger than an integer. So if you have a really big number that you need to send to the server, typically that's what you're using. So those are all the named functions we're going to be using. Or I'm going to go over write string briefly as well. This is used for things like chat, or adding to friends list. I think is actually done with a long, but this is for writing a text string to the server. Alright. So the next one we're going to be looking at is method 424. Oh, I gotta stop highlighting. Okay, so method 424, I'm going to backstep a little bit. In addition to an opcode, you also need to send parameters to the server. And parameters are used to tell the server, for example, if you're going to be walking, it's not enough to send the server an opcode that says, I'm going to be walking. You need to tell it where you're walking, right? So that's what these functions are used for. These are used for sending the arguments that go along with an opcode. So method 424 is used for bytes. and as you can see, I've already commented it there. It takes the negative value of whatever your number is, and I'm not sure exactly why it does that. Probably trying to make it a little harder to reverse engineer. So yeah, that's method 424. It's used to send bytes over the stream. So now we're going to go to method 425. Method 425 is used in chat. It's never used anywhere else, and I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what it does, but as you can see, it takes 128, it subtracts the value, and then it puts it on the buffer. Pretty simple. So the next function we care about is actually method 431. These functions in between 426 through 430 are used for reading from the stream, so the client can understand server-to-client packets, not something we really care about, at least not in this lecture. So method 431 is a little endian short. So it takes a short value, and then it converts it to little endian, and it does not manipulate the value beforehand. This is important. Yeah, so that's really all it does. And it's a little different than write word, which also pushes a short and little endian in that in the order that it does things. So this puts the raw value on the buffer and then does the little endian translation, and write word does that backwards. So yeah, probably just trying to mix things up a little bit. Method 432 is what's called the short special A translation, and this translates to little endian, and then it adds 128 to that translated value. Not too complicated. Alright. It's very similar to the last one, very similar to lots of the others. They're all very similar. They're just used in slightly different situations, just to make it as chaotic and difficult to follow as possible. Method 433 is a little endian short special A, which means it takes the value, it adds 128, and then it does the little endian translation. So it's just short special A, but flipped, right? So rather than doing the translation first, it does the translation after the value's been manipulated. Yeah, so I think that's actually all of the values, or all of the functions we care about from within stream.java. So yeah, there's a list of opcodes on the website, and if you click, most opcodes have descriptions showing exactly what it is that the parameters are for various, like here you'll see, give me a second, you'll see like attack NPC, which is opcode 72. You see it takes a short special A, and you know it takes a short special A, so you can go through and you can find what's short special A. Well, short special A is method 432. So to call attack NPC, you do create frame 72, method 432, and then the NPC ID. And yeah, very simple. So that's the basics of how the 317 protocol works.